Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how I did this Viking repaint. This will be a two-part series with part one being her repaint. Part two will be her outfit, accessories, and her weapons. Please stay tuned to see how we went from this to this. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. I've already begun the preparation steps with her. I've removed her factory paint and rerouted her hair. If you would like to see how I reroute dreads, I have a separate tutorial up on my channel for that, and I will link it down below. I'm going to protect her hair with this scrap piece of cloth and pin it along her hairline. I'm going to start things out a little bit differently this time. I would typically begin prepping the doll with 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear, also known as MSC, but because I'm going to give her war paint and I'm going for that slightly wispy effect along the edges, I think that will be easier to achieve with something like acrylic paint instead of watercolored pencils. I'm going to begin with the war paint first. A word of caution, I first attempted this with gouache. I thought it would be a little bit easier to correct with water and just a little bit more forgiving. Unfortunately, even after sealing it with 2 layers of MSC, when I tested it with a damp Q-tip, it came right off. If anybody knows why this happened, please leave me a comment down below. I'm going to try it again with acrylic paint, and hopefully second time's the charm. Taking some black acrylic paint on an angled detail brush, I dab most of it off on my hand. Because I'm going for a jagged, messy look, I don't want the brush to be too loaded up with paint. I imagine that flawless war paint is probably not top of mind for somebody going into battle, so I'm definitely going for that messy effect. After that dried, I sealed it with 2 layers of Mr. Super Clear, waiting 15 minutes in between each spray, and I wait an additional 30 minutes at least before beginning the face up. When I use MSC, I spray it outside wearing a respirator mask, eyewear, and protective clothing per the instructions, but as always, please be sure to do your own research about any of the materials I mention in this video. Taking my gold watercolor paints, I am going over the guideline I drew with my gold pencil. I tried out some different face paint looks, adding lines and dots, but ultimately I decided to just go with the one line. When it comes to watercolor pencils, I primarily use the Derwent Inktense line or the Caran d'Ache Supercolor Soft. So these are my favorite brand of watercolor pencils. To sketch in the eye shape, I will use the shade Burnt Sienna. Usually I will draw the eye shape smaller than the eye mold, but Nefera's eye mold is pretty small. So in this case, I'm just going to mostly follow the shape of the mold. I then fill in the outline with my white pencil. I sketch in the iris with my Caran d'Ache pencil in the shade Umber. Especially when it comes to the eyes, but really anytime I'm trying to make sure things are symmetrical, I will turn the head upside down, and this just seems to highlight any inconsistencies or differences between the two sides. For pastels, these gallery handmade soft pastels are my favorite. I believe they call these the hand-rolled pastels. Unfortunately, the price since I originally purchased them on Amazon has gone up by about $20. I'm hoping that will come back down. You might check your local craft supply to see if they carry this brand. I'm taking my favorite brush for pastels. This is the Artist Loft Vienna line, and it is their shader brush, number 0. Grabbing a little bit of dark sienna, I will be using that to shade and add color to the lips. Taking my trusty kneaded eraser, I remove any pastels where needed and refine the shape of her lips. Keeping it very simple with the shading around her eyes, I start off with the darkest gray first, just to make blending the black a little bit easier. And then I also take a little bit more of that dark sienna to add depth and shading to her face. Now dipping into the black pastel, I begin adding shading around her eyes. Just like with the paint, I try to keep it looking messy and splotchy. While I'm at it with the black pastel, I add a little bit more depth to her lips by adding some shadows and highlights. To keep the lip from leaning too cool tone, since Nefera has a pretty warm skin tone, I add in some warm browns. From the palette, I added red oxide and dark red brown. With my e.l.f. crease brush and those same shades, I continue adding shading and blushing as needed. After sealing that in with another layer of MSC, I take my Derwent Inktense pencil in the shade Ink Black to start defining the eyes and adding in some liner. I think it's time to give her her brows, and I don't have the exact color of her hair, this kind of purple shade, but I'm thinking if I mix this purple and light cobalt blue together, I can hopefully get something kind of similar. Now that the pastel eyebrows have been sealed in with another layer of MSC, I'm ready to start drawing in the hairs with the pencils. I'm going to start out with the Derwent Inktense in the shade Violet. I will go back in later on and intensify the brows with some darker shades, but this is how it's looking for now. I'm going to jump back over to working on the irises. I'm using my Derwent pencil in the shade Baked Earth as the base color for the iris. And then I think I'm going to take Madder Brown for the pupil, and also use that to add definition around the outside of the iris. Before I seal this with another layer of MSC, I think I'm also going to go ahead and add the gold stripe down the bottom of her lip. With my white pencil, I'm adding little highlights to the iris. I'm also re-intensifying the whites of the eyes. I use the white pencil as an eraser of sorts to correct the shape of the iris or the eye altogether. I do a lot of layering back and forth between the dark shades and the light shades until I get something I'm happy with. Taking the bronze from my Arteza metallic watercolors, I add just a tiny dot in the middle of her pupils. I think that this makes the eyes look a little bit more lively. Because Nefera skin has so much gold in it already, I felt like the metallic gold paint wasn't popping enough, so I'm adding just a thin black line to the underside of it. I'm going to add some black streaks into the brows. Looking a little bit happier than I'd intended. I told my mom, I guess she's possibly happy after slaying her enemies. I'm not sure. So I am going to attempt to give her a little bit more of a severe expression with her eyebrows. And if that doesn't work, then she's just going to be a happy warrior Viking. To amp up the pigmentation, I like to take a slightly dampened detail brush and pull the pigment right off of the pencil. I'm going to do that to really intensify her eyebrows. All right, I am going to intensify the gold lines, go over them one more time. I add some shading in between her brows to give her a little bit more of an angry look. I am getting pretty close to being done with her face up. I need to add the eye shines and some lashes on a detailed brush. I'm going to try taking Gesso by Liquitex this time, see if that works better than white acrylic paint. I found these doll lashes on Amazon. I will leave the link down below. And they come in a really long strip, which is nice because then you can cut them to whatever size you need. I also then trim the length down. They come just a hair too long for my taste. So after trimming them down, I take a little bit of Aleene's tacky glue and I apply that to the lash strip. This is really applying falsies on miniature scale. I'm taking the Derwent Inktense Ink Black with a slightly dampened detail brush, and I will take that and just run it over that glue. And then it is time for arguably the most exciting part, which is taking off the hair covering. Even with the cloth protecting the hair, MSC does still get on the hairline, as you can see. Typically, I would take something like a toothbrush or a disposable mascara wand to clean that off, but because I gave her dreads, I cannot use that method. But I'm not too concerned because I will likely restyle some of the dreads anyway. Now I can begin the process of sanding her body and prepping it for the pencils and pastels. I will do this off camera because it makes quite a mess. I need to get a sanding box like Delightful's. I will take a sanding block to her entire body. If I don't do this, then the pencils and the pastels won't stay. They won't adhere to the surface and it'll be extremely difficult to blend. So I'm going to sand her body and then I will remove these panties. And then Nefera's body is a little bit more work to prepare than some of the other dolls, and that is because at least my Nefera, there may be some that don't have this, but her hands and forearms are this turquoise shade. I had to sand down the arms because they were textured, and now I am trying to color match them with pastels. Okay, change of plans. After applying about 5 layers of pastels and MSC to her forearms and hands, I had one of the hands disappear. It is MIA, but I'm not mad about it because it got me thinking about alternative options. I went through my stock box looking for something that had a similar skin tone. I found these Cleo forearms and these Howleen hands, which is actually perfect because her expression ended up being a lot friendlier than I'd planned. Originally, I was planning on giving her an axe and a shield, but I feel like that would be better suited for a future Viking project where I can give it a little bit more of a fierce expression. I think I'm going to make her an archer. These Howleen hands are perfect for that. I am going to sand down this part of the inner arm to increase her range of motion. These forearms aren't meant for her. This is from a little sister body type, and Nefera has the big sister body type, but I'm rolling with it anyway. All right, her body has been fully prepped. It's been sanded and I have applied 2 layers of MSC. Now it is time to go in with the pastels. I will primarily be using dark sienna, dark red brown, and red oxide. I'm taking my e.l.f. crease brush, I also blushed with just a tiny bit of the deep vermilion. My apologies, I got carried away applying the gold paint and forgot to film. I may continue to add gold elsewhere, but this may all be a moot point because I haven't decided how much of her body is going to be covered with clothing yet. So you may not even see most of this body paint in the end. I have some black acrylic paint and I'm going to take that to add some little black details around the gold. Another thing that I noticed with Nefera, it may just be that I didn't sand the panties down far enough, but I noticed on hers, even though it feels like a flat surface, you can still see where her panties were on both the front and the back. I am now just taking some black pastel and blending in the paint. Okay, I have reattached her body. To do this, I heat the head with a hairdryer for approximately 1 to 2 minutes. This will soften up the vinyl head and make it easier to reconnect the two. Because MSC can crack, I have to be very careful with the face up. So I gently squeeze the head around the ears and twist the body back and forth until they reattach. As I mentioned, this video will be split into 2 parts. The repaint itself will be pretty long and I don't want to delay getting this video out. With that being said, if you would like to see how I make her outfit and her weapons, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you are notified when that video comes out. Also, if you have any suggestions for her outfit or accessories, weapons, anything like that, leave it in the comment section below. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up as it really helps out my channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care. I am getting pretty done to being close with her face up. Taking my Derwent, nope. Oops, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Oopsies. And I've got a cat hair at the end of my brush, so that's, you know, that's good. And I have not done what I needed to do. What in the heck am I thinking? Excuse you, Boo.